برضاك وغصب عليك، مو برضاك غصب عليك. قلبي انا يجبرك رغم اللي عنده مكابرك، حبي ترى اخرك، مو برضاك وغصب عليك، مو برضاك وغصب عليك. يا مسكين باين عليك من عينك ورعشة يدك، كلك شوق وتحبني، مو برضاك وغصب عليك، مو برضاك وغصب عليك.
Welcome to another episode of my live stream. And you guys, it's day 7 for me for COVID. And that's why I played that song. I got COVID, so I'm not 100% here. So, but anyway, the name of that song, I want to guess. Who can tell me what the name of that song was? Can anybody guess what the name of that song was? The name of the song is Ya Miskeen. Ya Miskeen. And the reason I use that is because if you watched the he is losing his mind. I think he lost it already, man. So I think I'm on day 7. They said day 7 is supposed to be the worst day of the COVID. And so anyway, but you know what? It wasn't that bad. Thanks be to God, man. Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about you, man. Yeah, you know, I just wanted to do a little response to Mr. Uthman. You know, the Mr. Uthman, the here, Sham, if you'd like to come on, man, here's the invitation, bro. Just because I haven't done anything about the Uthman videos since this whole thing with Uthman started, and but today today I was watching a little bit on when Hatun Tash was showing some of this, and when I showed it to you, the one thing that bothered me about Sheikh Uthman was the condescending way that he talked about David, and what he called him Ya Miskeen. He called him Ya Miskeen. And Miskeen is a very, I think all of you most of you know, it means, oh, you pitiful one, or something like that, And so because of that, I thought, it just shows you the condescending, insulting tone, that he took with David. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit respond to a little bit about what Uthman said to David. And so I'm just going to go ahead and play it and respond to some of the stuff that he said. Now, David did a great job of, I think, it's not nice. It's very condescending, actually. And yeah, Miskeen means poor. Now I could show you some, I got some things about the word Miskeen. I could show it to you. The word Miskeen is used, it's used in the Bible, one of the Beatitudes, the 10 Beatitudes that Jesus said. Actually, the very first one, the very first Beatitude is blessed are the poor. In Arabic, it's Toba lil Masakeen bil-Ruh. Toba lil Masakeen bil-Ruh. So the word Masakeen, Masakeen is the plural of Miskeen, which is what, he was calling David. And so here's how Google translates it: Miskeen, poor fellow, and he kept saying that. He said it about 3 or 4 times, and he'd always say it when he was losing an argument. Whenever he was losing an argument, he'd say about David, he'd say, Ya Miskeen. Whenever he was losing an argument to David, he would say, Ya Miskeen, Ya Miskeen. It made me think a little bit, to be honest, of, where Jesus says, if you call your brother Raka, or you say Raka to your brother, or you call your brother thou fool, because it's kind of like condescending. You're exalting yourself, like when he's saying pitiful person. It's kind of like saying, oh, pitiful person. Like it's kind of like an insult of your intelligence, you know, Miskeen, you know. And so, and the fact, there's another thing too. I'm not saying that he's a wannabe Arab, but they're all wannabe Arabs. Just sorry. Since I'm Arab, I can say that. All of them, Zakir Naik, Ahmed Didat, Shabir Ali, I think they're all wannabe Arabs. And so whenever they start talking Arabic, it's like a big, you know, badge of honor that they're speaking Arabic, you know. And so they, you know, they want to use that to show how they're better than the Americans or better than someone else because they speak Arabic. And, you know, belittling. Yeah, it's really belittling. It's really insulting and ignorant and arrogant. Ignorant and arrogant. And that's what I saw in what he said. And I just wanted to me want to be Arab. Yeah, sorry, Chloe. You're not a wannabe. You've inherited the whole headache. It's your you're one of us. You want to or not. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I'm only half Arab, but it's enough. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Praise be to God for whatever we are. It doesn't make a difference. We're all children of God, and in Jesus Christ, and so that's what matters. So anyway, but anyway, I just I want to watch the video, and it makes me angry, and I'm still a little weak from the COVID, and so I'm going to try not to get emotional, but I get upset when I see some of the stuff that he said. Yeah, you know what? You know what, you guys, what I'm going to do? I'm going to do you a service. It's going to be a public service, which is I'm going to give you an Arabic lesson from Shabir Ali. An Arabic lesson, no, not from Shabir Ali, from Zakir Naik. I'm going to do an Arabic lesson from Zakir Naik. His Arabic is so pathetic. His Arabic is so pathetic. And I know I'm not like an expert in Arabic, but Zakir Naik, his Arabic is so twisted. It's pretzel of all the universe. And I can't believe people listen to him. But, you know, anyway, I'm going to do something about the, from Zakir Naik's Arabic. He's got the most interesting Arabic. So anyway, but let's watch a little bit of the, I think, am I doing this right here? Okay. Let me see if I got to get rid of something. I'm not sure. Okay. I think this is right now. So we can go ahead and start this. Hey, Sam, I sent you an invite, bro. If you'd like to come on, I don't know if you're, I sent you an invite on YouTube. If you'd like to come on, ahlo sahla. Sam Shimon, even though you think I've lost my mind, which, to be honest, I feel like it, man. Really, it's like, you know, they say today's the day where it's going to be like the worst day and coughing and stuff, but that didn't happen. Praise be to God. But my mind is so light. My head is light. So anyway. So anyway, let's go ahead and watch a little bit of this and see what. Okay. Let me see. Did I do this right here? Okay, let me undo this. Maybe I could share the screen here better. And okay. All right.
Are there textual differences?
Let me explain it, bro.
There are textual differences.
Listen.
Textual differences. It's been corrupt.
This is a moron, doesn't know what a Qur'an is, right?
Okay, right there, man. I didn't even want to go on from there, man. It's like, you know, did you hear what he just said? This is a moron. He doesn't know what a qira'at is. You know, it's one thing if he would have just said, this is a moron. You know, but it's specifically he's saying he's a moron because he doesn't know what the qira'at is. He says he's a moron because he doesn't know what the qira'at is. And you know what's so insane about that is nobody knows what the qira'at is. The qira'at, they're all over the planet about what the qira'at are. And for him to say that he's a moron for not knowing what the qira'at is. Nobody knows what they are. Some people call them the ahraf, some people call them the mushaf, some people call them the Quran, some people, they don't know what the qira'at are. And why they're different. I'm fried. I have been menstruating, been live streaming all day. Sorry, brother. It's okay. That's cool, brother. I appreciate it, man. I love you, man. I appreciate you coming on, though. You know, I want to just play some videos for you guys to show you some videos about this. You know, he says because David Wood doesn't know what the kid, he's a moron. Shame on you. Shame on you. David Wood is destroying you, bro. He is destroying you week by week. Every time he comes, he's chipping away at you, at your foundation, at your lousy logic. He's chipping away, exposing your faulty logic. And, you know, it's like each time I see David Wood, it's like he's finding his voice more and more to deal with him on this level. Because, you know, this isn't the way David Wood usually works with people that I've seen. I may be wrong, but that's what I've seen. But every week I see him finding his voice stronger and stronger and being irrefutable. David Wood is destroying this guy. And so that's why he has to keep reverting to Miskeen, Miskeen, Miskeen. But for him to call him a moron, that's so disgusting, man. It's like, dude, and the reason, because he doesn't know what the Qira'at are. I'd love to hear Uthman tell us what the Qira'at are. You know, I just want to play some videos of you. Just show you. This thing is all over the place, man. This Qira'at thing. Let's watch what some people have to say about it. You know, since you know he's using that as the criterion for calling David Wood a moron because he doesn't know what the Qira'at are. And I'm not saying David Wood doesn't know what the Qira'at are. I'm saying that, but that's what he said. And so anyway, let's listen to what some people have to say about this. Okay. Okay. Let's listen to this guy. I know it's Arabic. Some of you will understand. Those who won't, I'll translate for you.
لكن بعض القراءات وإذا أهل العلم أو أكثر أهل العلم اشترطوا في القراءة الصحيحة 3 شروط: أن تكون موافقة لوجه من أوجه اللغة العربية، موافقة للرسم العثماني، وأن تكون متواترة.
Okay, now this guy is explaining to us what qira'at are. And he's saying, okay, there's 3 criteria for what a qira'ah is. Some of them, what they have to do is they have to be logical to the Arabic. They have to be traced back to the Prophet. And then they have to, the rasm, the consonants have to be the same. You guys, we know that's not the case in any of the qira'at. It's not the case.
يعني تكون متواترة، يعني نقلها جمع عن جمع، وأن تكون موافقة للرسم، وأن تكون موافقة لوجه من وجوه اللغة العربية حتى يقال أنها قراءة ثابتة. فإذا اختل فيها شرط من هذه الشروط سموها قراءة شاذة.
Okay, so now if it doesn't have all 3 of these standards, whoever gets to determine what those standards are, they call it a different, it is still a qira'ah, but it's a different qira'ah. It's a shadha qira'ah, which means like a false qira'ah or a, oh, no. He doesn't say that. It's a shadha qira'ah. It means it has to be, it's like a lower level qira'ah. And it says it's not like a Quran, it's like a hadith then.
قد تكون سندها صحيح، قد يكون سندها صحيحا، لكن لا تعتبر قرآنا.
It is supported and it is authentic. But it's not a qira'ah. It's not a recitation. Dude, they don't have a clue, man.
لأنه يشترط في القرآن أن يكون متواترا.
And it says in the Quran it has to be mutawatir. I mean, because from a group to a group to a group to a group to a group. You guys, please. There's supposed to be one Quran. There's supposed to be one Quran. We were taught there's one Quran. Every dot, every letter, every harf, every, kasra, dhamma, kasra. They're all supposed to be perfect. That's what we were taught. And now they're telling us there's all these different Qur'ans. And now there's different levels of these different levels of Qur'ans. And he calls David Wood a moron for not knowing what a qira'ah is. This guy listen to this guy, what he's saying about it.
يعني مثلا قول الله تبارك وتعالى في كفارة اليمين فكفارته إطعام 10 مساكين من أوسط ما تطعمون أهليكم أو كسوته أو تحرير رقبة فمن لم يجد فصيام.
Okay, he's talking here about the verse where it talks about how if you're traveling and you're supposed to be fasting, but because you're tired, you don't fast. Then it says you're supposed to feed Mesakeen, and it's so funny because that's the whole word that Uthman is using against David is Miskeen, and that's what the verse that this guy's talking about is Mesakeen. And this is showing you one of the problems of this verse, because in one particular kind of Quran, it's called, you got to feed Miskeen, a poor person. But the other part of the Quran says, no, feed Mesakeen, several poor people, because of the differences in the Qira'at. And so this guy here is explaining that, and it's so funny, he's using the same word that Uthman is using to insult David, Mesakeen. So anyway, this goes on for a little while. So I want to show you. I want to show you another one. I want to show you one in English. Because there's a guy in English who talks about this. And the only reason I'm doing this, you guys, is the reason I'm doing this is because I want you to see that what he said was wrong. What he said to David was wrong because he said that David was a moron for not knowing the Qira'at. Not knowing the Qira'at. And so anyway, let me see if this is what I want here. Oh shoot, no, that's not what I want. Let me see if I can find the one. Okay, this is the one that I want right here. Okay, just 1 second, you guys. And don't worry, I'm going to bring you the doctor, the physician. He's going to have his comment on it too. And believe me, his comment doesn't help. Okay, let's see what this guy says here.
Wasallam said, "Unzil al-Quran ala sab'ati ahrufin." That the Quran was sent down in 7 ahruf. What did the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam mean by that? Before I go in to explaining the sab'atu al-ahruf al-sab'ah, I want to do 5 things, inshallah ta'ala, that I believe is.
You see, they gotta couch this thing. They gotta cushion this thing because it's so confusing. It's so unclear. They don't know what it is. Qira'at and ahruf and sab'ah, and Uthman burned 6, and Abdullah bin Mas'ud said don't believe in Uthman's, and just all these things, you guys. There's so many factors that come, and Uthman burned 6. What are the 6 that Uthman burned? What are the 6 that Uthman burned? It gets so confusing. Listen.
It's very important that the listeners and the viewers understand prior to.
They're not going to understand. They're not going to understand because we were told there was 1 Quran, and now you're telling us about 7 Qurans.
Commenting and explaining the views regarding al-ahruf al-sab'ah, and whichever view is closest to the truth.
Whichever view is closer to the truth. Whichever view. He says there's all these 5 different views. Whichever view is closer to the truth. Dude, we were told there's 1 Quran. It was perfect. Every dot, every letter, everything is perfectly preserved from the Lawh al-Mahfuz. It's perfect. Nobody can change it. They changed the Bible. They changed the Gospel. They changed the Old Testament. But the Quran can never, ever be changed because Allah preserves it according to chapter 15, verse 9. Inna nazalna dhikra wa nahnu lahu lihafidhun. But now he's telling us that there's 5 theories about why there's these 7. And one of whichever of these theories seems to be the truest is the one that you're supposed to accept. It's like, what? There's and before he explains it, he wants everybody to understand. You're not gonna understand nothing, man, because we were lied to. Because we were lied to. They told us there's 1. They lied to us.
The first point that inshallah ta'ala I want to clarify before going into the meaning is أن القراءات السبع, that the 7 qira'at that we have today ليست هي الأحرف السبعة, that it is not the 7 ahruf.
You guys, you got nothing else from this guy. You got nothing else from this guy. Did you hear what he said? Let me play it again.
that هي الأحرف السبعة, that it is not أن القراءات السبع, that the 7 qira'at that we have today ليست هي الأحرف السبعة, that it is not the 7 ahruf.
The 7, he's saying the 7 qira'at recitations we have today are not the sab'a ahruf. The 7 recitations they have today are not the 7 ahruf. Has that made it 100% understandable for you now? Do you understand this whole situation now? Does it make it clear? And, you know, and there's more. Let me play another one. I want to play another one. And, okay, let's go to Uncle Shabir Ali. Okay. You know, and again, the reason I'm doing this, you guys, the reason I'm showing you this is because he called David Wood a moron for not knowing what the qira'at are, you know, and I'm showing you nobody knows what they are. Nobody has a clue what they are, man. And so let me see. Okay, let's play this one.
This question, or
Yes.
rather answer.
True. Nowadays, when we write a book with this one version and then it's published widely. But that's not always
When you write a book, it's published widely.
the case. You may have a UK version and a US version.
Oh, a UK version and a US version.
Because words are spelled differently in the UK than they are in America and Canada. And sometimes the Canadian spelling agrees with the UK spelling. And so
the Canadian spelling might agree with the UK.
we have different combinations. You can also have performances that are done differently. A song, maybe you may have like a written transcript of the song, the lyrics, and yet the actual performance could actually be different on stage and different.
So when you have a song that you're performing, the words might be written down, but when somebody performs it, they sing it
From
different.
one performance to the other.
So this is the criteria he's using to judge the Quran by, which is supposed to be from the preserved tablet, from the words of Allah from eternity past.
Now, in the case of the Quran, the Prophet, peace be upon him, was delivering this orally, and it had to be ingested by his community, and many of them spoke different varieties of the Arabic language. So in some ways, it had to be translated from Arabic to Arabic before it gets from Arabic to English. So in that context, the Prophet, peace be upon him, gave latitude to his companions to recite the Quran in a variety of Arabic dialects.
In a variety of dialects.
And also sometimes to substitute meaning.
Substitute meaning. You guys, one of the things that they always tell us when we tell them, well, you got 100 different Qur'ans with different words, they say the meaning is the same. Shabir Ali is here saying, no, different meanings.
For meaning, even within the same dialect. Thus,
in the same dialect.
Allowing for the Quran's meaning to be understood and absorbed and applied very quickly, so that people did not need to stumble over how precisely do we recite this, because that was.
So they not stumble over how precisely do we recite this. You guys, if you know the history of the Quran, you know, he's being so nonchalant about this, but you know the whole fitna that started, the civil war that started in the days of Uthman, is because some people in Iraq and Syria were reciting the Quran differently. They were calling each other kafirs because of the differences in the way they recited it. And he's saying, well, we don't got to be so strict about it. They almost had to, came to blows. They almost had a civil war because of this. And that's why Uthman had to gather up all of the different Qur'ans and burn them and then compile another one. And so for him to just be saying, oh, you know, it was supposed to give this, if it was supposed to do that, my question is, if it was supposed to do that, if these sab'a ahruf, these 7 ahruf were supposed to ease the situation for the Muslims so that they, you know, be able to recite in their own languages, each one in their own 7 dialects, why didn't it do that? Why didn't it do that? Muhammad begged Jibreel, if you read the hadith, he begged Jibreel, he said, give me another version because my people can't understand just one. They need to have different versions. They need to have different dialects. And so Jibreel came down and got him the 7 ahruf, the 7 modes. This is what the hadith says. And so my question is, if that was the reason, so that it'd be easier for everybody, why did it almost lead to civil war, to where Uthman had to gather them all up and then burn them? Why did that have to happen? It just doesn't, it's illogical. It's illogical. It doesn't make sense. And so anyway, this is what Shabir Ali. Let's listen a little bit more what he says.
Was not the initial need. That is a need now, because we need to know precisely what are the words.
Okay.
That is a need now, because we need.
Okay, I want you to hear what he says right here. I found this fascinating. Listen to what he says.
How precisely do we recite this?
How precisely do we recite this? How precisely do we how important in Islam is that the Quran be recited correctly? That's what we were taught. That's what I was taught, unless we were lied to. Listen to what he said. How precisely does this have to be recited? Listen.
Because that was not the initial need.
That wasn't the initial need. That wasn't the initial need.
That is a need now, because
that is a need now.
We need to know precisely what are the words before we start interpreting them in the wrong way.
So that we know what the words are before we interpret them in the wrong way.
But in the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, people needed to know the meaning and the application first.
In the time of the Prophet, they need to know the meaning and the application first. Oh, man. Dude. I did not start going through my COVID coughing yet, but Shabir Ali might take me through the coughing here. Does it look like this guy knows what a qira'ah is? Does it look like he knows what ahruf is? Does he know? Just listen to what the other guy said, what the other 2 guys said, and now what he's saying. Does it make sense to you? And he calls David Wood a moron, saying because he doesn't know what the qira'ah is. Anyway, guys, so anyway, I just want to show you some of these, just to show you that nobody knows what they are. Nobody knows what they are, and it's such a shame that he said that about David. I'm so ashamed that he said that about David. And so anyway, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and listen to a little bit more of what he says, just because it doesn't get better. So
first, and so there was more focus on that and less on the precise wording. So it is reported that some of the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, read the same thing, but sometimes in a different word order, and some
of the companions of the Prophet recited them with different word order.
Sometimes by substituting a word with the same meaning.
Substituting a word with the same meaning. You guys, what happened to the Lawh al-Mahfuz? Which one is on the preserved tablet? You see, they know that they have a disaster on their hands. They know they have a disaster on their hands. And so now they're coming up with all these flimsy explanations, you guys. And you know what? I'm talking as an ex-Muslim. They lied to us. They lied to us because they told us there was one Quran. They lied to us. There's not one Quran. There's a bunch of Qurans. He's admitting this. He's saying this.
Replacing a word from the Quranic text as it was being recited by the Prophet, peace be upon him.
So, Dr. Shabir, how does that relate to the 7 readings?
The 7 readings that we have now, even...
Okay, guys, now we're getting from the 7 ahruf to the 7 readings. Let's listen to this.
10 readings, according to many scholars.
Oh, okay, so now it's not 7 readings. It's 10 readings. Allah yustur.
Capture some of that variety that was allowed in the early days of...
Capture some of the variety that was allowed. Dude, it led to civil war almost. They were calling people kuffar because of this.
The Quranic revelation. So we have, like, you can say, one main text, and it's given to us in a variety of minor variations from one reading to another.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Dr.
Perfect? What's perfect about it? What's perfect about it? Oh my gosh. Dude. Anyway, so you know, I just wanted to show you that, just to show you that this situation hasn't improved, and he shouldn't be calling David Wood a moron for not knowing what the Qira'at are. And I'm not saying David Wood doesn't know what the Qira'at are, but that's what Uthman said. So anyway, I just want you, they don't know what it is. They don't know what Qira'at are. They don't know what they are, you know. And so for him to say that, man, and let me just show you one more. I just want to show you one more because this one, I think this one is in Arabic, but you know what? I think I'm going to be able to. It's not going to be hard to. Okay, this one right here.
قراءة القرآن بعدة قراءات. قال عليه الصلاة والسلام نزل القرآن على 7 أحرف. والقراءات التي بين أيدينا الآن 7 هي قراءات متواترة عليها عمل المسلمين وإجماعهم. والعرب عندما نقول لغة العرب هذا شيء لكن كانت ثمة لهجات تفرق. فاصطلاح كلمة لغة عندما نقول لغة قريش، لغة بني تميم، لغة سعد بن بكر أو ما أشبه ذلك من هذيل، لغة العرب الذين كانوا يعيشون آنذاك، هذا كله لا يخرجها عن كونها عربية، لأن هذه القبائل كلها عربية. مثلا الهمز، قريش لا تهمز.
Okay, he's saying we got seven qira'at, 7 recitations, and these do not go outside of the Arabic community. I mean, they don't go outside of the Arabic linguistics. I mean, it is Arabic languages, all 7 of these versions he's saying.
يقولون للذئب ذئب، ويقولون للسورة سورة. ومثلا كذلك من حول قريش مثل هذيل، سعد بن بكر. لكن تميم ومن جاء وراءها كانوا يهمزون، يقولون سؤرة، يقولون ذئب. فهذا بعض ما يمكن أن يقال حول لغة القرآن. وعلى العموم كما بينت هذه القراءات التي بين أيدينا عليها عمل الناس وتوارثها المسلمون كابرا عن كابر. وأما معنى حديث نزل القرآن على 7 أحرف فحديث صحيح، لكن العلماء اختلفوا فيه اختلافا كثيرا وأورد بعضهم فيها أكثر من 36 قولا. وقد قلنا.
He says that the scholars have differed about what the meaning of the Qira'at and the 7 versions are. You know, he's saying that there's lots of different, he says there's 36 different sayings about this that he could explain, 36 different like ideas, opinions about it. It's so confusing.
مرارا إننا نحب أن نجزم أو نفصل في مثل هذه القضايا، لأن كثيرا من الأكابر ممن أوتوا حظا من علم أكثر منا تقا وعلما تجنبوا أن يفصلوا فيها.
Okay, he says I don't want to get into this because lots of people who are a lot smarter than us, they avoid it. تجنبوا. They avoid it because it's so confusing that even the great scholars don't know what to say about it. So anyway, you know, I just wanted to show you, you know, for him to use that criteria to call David Wood a moron like that for not knowing what the ahruf are. And like I said, I'm not saying he doesn't know what they are, but that's what he said. It's ridiculous and shameful that he said that. And so anyway, let's go back to our sheikh here.
Let me explain it.
Are there textual differences?
Let me explain it.
There are textual differences.
Listen.
Textual differences.
Listen. This is a moron doesn't know what a qira'at is, right?
This is a moron. He doesn't know what a qira'at. Shame on you, man. Shame on you, man.
Let me explain it.
Are there textual differences?
Let me explain it.
There are textual differences.
Listen.
Textual differences. It's
Listen.
been corrupted.
So you can't listen. This is a problem with him. You can't listen, right? Now, when you look at the Torah, are there different verses? Are there different lines? And I have a whole book on the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Okay, so what is his strategy here? Instead of answering the question, instead of staying on subject, he jumps to the Torah. And he has a book. You guys, he has a book. He has a book about the Dead Sea Scrolls, you guys. That settles the thing. He's got a book about it. That settles the thing, man.
And the standard Torah. And the differences between them. So it is not just that they're different recitations. Now, his father, for example, he recites in Shu'ba and Asim. And somebody else will recite in Hafs and Asim. Those are all in accordance to one Mus'haf, the Uthmani Mus'haf.
Okay, now he's saying that this guy's dad reaches the Asim. The one guy that reads the Shu'ba, these different versions, and he says, and they're all based on the one Quran, the Uthmani Mus'haf, Uthmani Mus'haf. He says that they're all based on Uthman's Quran. That's what he just said right there. And I just got a question then. I got a question. Maybe someone come on and tell me, explain it to me. Where are the Sab'a Ahruf? Uthman burned 6 Qur'ans. Uthman burned 6, supposedly. So where are those 6? And how are the ones that they have today related to the 6, the Sab'a Ahruf? Because Uthman burned them. Okay, if you look at the history of the Quran, this is what happened. Okay, that the Quran was not written down in Muhammad's time in a book. It was written on bones, on leaves, and on leather, and on paper. And you know, this is actually what it says in the Hadith, you guys. I'm not making this up. That it was written on leaves and bones and sticks, on rocks and stuff. And so they, you know, so they compiled it all together. You know, Zayd ibn Thabit did this after the Battle of Yamama because a lot of the Huffaz were being killed in the battle. And so Abu Bakr and Umar bin Khattab said, we got to collect the Quran or we're going to lose it. And so we started collecting. So Zayd ibn Thabit collected, you know, all the leaves and everything and put something together. And it ended up with Hafsa, the daughter of Umar bin Khattab. And she had it under her bed for 10 years. And then they had all these different versions from the different Sahaba. And apparently, you see, I don't know if it's a Sab'a Ahruf, there was going to be a civil war between Iraq and Syria because of the different versions of the Quran, and they called each other kafir. And then a guy, Hudayfa, came to Uthman and said, listen, you know, we're going to have a civil war here because everybody's reciting differently. We need to come up with one standard Quran. And so Uthman gathered all the different Quran scripts, burned them. And then he compiled another one based on Hafsa. But it wasn't completely with Hafsa because Zayd ibn Thabit had to interview different people about certain verses that they didn't know about. And so this led to the Uthmani Quran, supposedly. And Uthman made, like, I don't know how many copies, 4 to 9 copies, and sent them to these major cities. Nobody knows where those are. They don't exist. There's no proof of them. There's no evidence of any of these Qur'ans now. And so they don't know where they are. And they also had a huge problem, and that is that they didn't have diacritical marks. So they didn't have dots on them. So you don't know if a word is a B, or a letter is a B, or a Y, or a T, or a TH, or a, you know, they just didn't know. There was so much confusion about it. And so, you know, he's saying now that all of these qira'at that they have now are based on the Uthmani. Well, where is the Uthmani? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. They don't have them. You know, so anyway, let's continue.
You don't know that, right? Miskeen.
You see? Here's the first time. You don't know that, right? Miskeen. See, that's another condescending. Miskeen. It's a statement about, it's like saying poor fellow, you know, and it's not like this horribly offensive thing, but it's just condescending, you know. And the fact that he uses Arabic to insult him in Arabic, you know, just to kind of show that he's on the inside club, man, you know, even though he's not an Arab. But sorry. But anyway, so, you know, but it's just condescending, and it was irritating when I saw him say that. And so let's go on.
Right? But the Torah has actual, from the Dead Sea Scrolls and the other scriptures,
Back to the Torah.
actual verses, chapters that have differences, and there are entire books written on that. That means there were rabbis who wrote things in that are not in other scriptures of the Torah. From their hands, they added to it. And that's why there's discussions on what should, even the Catholic Old Testament has different numbers of verses and books than the Christian one. In the Quran, find me one Muslim in the entire world that does not agree that the Quran begins with Al-Fatiha and with Surah An-Nas.
This was beautiful, man. This was beautiful.
Find me one. One.
Okay, he says one. He puts up that test. Do this. Listen.
I didn't think so.
Hang on.
I didn't think so. Look.
Go ahead, think.
Ubay ibn Ka'b? You heard
Ubay ibn Ka'b.
Okay, here's what Ubay ibn Ka'b said. And Ubay ibn Ka'b said that, in his mushaf. Now, Ubay ibn Ka'b, you guys remember, he's the top qari, the top qari, the top memorizer. Muhammad said, take the Quran from 4 people. One of them is Ubay ibn Ka'b, and one is Abdullah bin Mas'ud. And he said, look what it says here. It says, and this is Ittiqan by Asyuti. It says that the Mus'haf, there were 2 additional surahs, Al-Khal and Al-Hab. So Ubay ibn Ka'b's Quran did not have 114 surahs from Al-Fatiha to Surah Al-Nas. So David, beautiful, man.
The one who did not believe that Surah Fatiha ends in Surah Nas?
He didn't have 2 extra surahs in his Quran?
No!
He didn't have 2 extra surahs in the Quran? No! Oh, he's so funny, man. But look what it says here. It says there were 2 additional surahs, Al-Khal, Al-Hab. So he had 116 chapters in his surahs in his Quran.
Ibn Mas'ud didn't have 111 chapters in his Quran?
Here's another passage. It says Ibn Mas'ud and so the Muwaddihat do not belong to the Quran. And I asked Allah's messenger about them, and he said, they have been revealed to me, and I recited them as part of the Quran. So Ubay added, so we say as Allah's messenger has said. So it's a mess, man.
No! Miskeen!
Miskeen again, using the Miskeen again, insulting Derek, just disgusting, man.
Did you say Ubay ibn Ka'b?
Miskeen.
Ubay ibn Ka'b
Miskeen, intellectually deficient.
didn't say that there are over 200 verses missing from Surah 33?
Not at all. Let me
No, not at all. It doesn't say that. Well, let's see what it says here. David, oh, thank God David went and put this all up here. He said, Ozir, how many verses did you count? How many verses did you read in Surah Al-Ahzab? 72 or 73? I answered. He said, yet it used to be equal to Surah Al-Baqarah. Surah Al-Baqarah is the biggest surah in the Quran. You know, and so, you know, we're talking about 200 missing verses in this surah.
No,
he
didn't have extra words.
He did not. Let me
He did not have extra words.
It didn't have extra words.
Can I explain it now?
Well, yeah, but I mean,
Okay,
even
good.
just,
No, this is a new trick that these da'wah guys always say. Hey, calm down, man, calm down, man.
Yusuf Ali's commentary admits it.
Yusuf Ali was an Ismaili, as I told you.
Yeah,
and he's
Yusuf
not-
Ali is just lying about what's in
Let me
what's in
explain
the
it.
Qira'at
Get
of
the book.
Ubay ibn Ka'b.
Listen, sir. If you want to learn. This is why you didn't come here to learn. Because you're not trying to learn. You're just trying to argue.
Yeah, you keep,
You didn't come to learn, you came to argue.
you keep saying false stuff. Quit saying
the
false
book.
You say false stuff, right on, David.
things,
You
and I
get the
won't
book
have to respond.
Al-Itqan of Asyuti. And he has a
You know what he told David to do right there? He says, get the book Ittiqan by Al-Suyuti. He told David, get the book Ittiqan by Al-Suyuti. That's the book that David just put on the screen, you guys. That's the book that David just put on the screen. It's a very well-known book, okay? Very highly regarded book.
entire chapter that discusses in these differences. What he explained about Ubay ibn Ka'b radiyallahu are those ayat that were revealed and then put in different surahs. It's not that they were disappeared. Ibn Mas'ud, let me finish, bro. Let me finish before you go to Yusuf Ali. And Yusuf Ali, again, was Ismaili. We don't accept his commentary. He even denied the Hur al-Ain, so I mean, we're not going to go there, right? But
he denied,
now when we go to
he denied, just want to say about Yusuf Ali, because I heard Jai Apologetics talking about this on Hatun Tash show, that he did convert to Sunni. He converted to Sunni. And, you know, did you hear what he said? He denied the Hur al-Ain. I mean, he denies the virgins up in Al-Jannah, all the, you know, the 72 virgins that they get when the martyrs die. He says he denied that. So
Yusuf Ali, I said that in the beginning. When you first pulled that out, I told you Yusuf Ali, he's Ismaili. I told you
he converted
that in
to
the
Sunni.
beginning.
I know you hate all these other groups. It
I
doesn't
don't
mean I
hate-
can't get
I
information
don't-
from them. Why should I trust you over them?
evidence.
I love that. Why should I trust you over them?
Okay. Now, Asyuti, which is a standard for Itqan, he says about Ibn Mas'ud, it is not that he didn't have Qul al-Falaq, Qul al-Nas, but he took them as adhkar originally until he was reminded. And that's why when Zayd ibn Thabit, you know Zayd ibn Thabit is? Yeah. You know he is? When he compiled it, was there any khilaf or was there ijma'? Ijma', consensus of all of the Sahaba that this is the Quran as revealed from Al-Fatiha to Nas. Zayd ibn Thabit, radiallahu anhu, in the time of Abu Bakr and again in the time of Uthman. This is the ignorance that he doesn't know. Consensus of all of the Sahaba minded. And that's why
whenever these guys start using Arabic, you guys get suspicious. Whenever they start using Arabic, get suspicious. And, you know, just like Shabir Ali, no, you know, I don't see Shabir Ali do it as much. Zakir Naik is the one who tries to lie to people with Arabic because his Arabic is so bad, man. But this guy is doing the same thing. Now he's using the word ijma'. Ijma'. Ijma' means like consensus. It means like, you know, the majority. Ijma' means like the majority. Jama'a means like a group. And so he's using this and he's saying, but what he says isn't really true. And I'm going to show you something. Okay, let's go ahead and listen to what he says here.
Zayd ibn Thabit, you know Zayd ibn Thabit is? Yeah. You know he is? When he compiled it, was there any khilaf or was there ijma'?
He says, when Zayd ibn Thabit compiled the Quran the second time, okay, because Zayd compiled the Quran twice, you guys. He compiled it once during the time of Abu Bakr. He compiled it again during the time of Uthman. Okay, so he did two different compilations. You guys, go study this. If you don't know this, go find out about your book. Find out how your book was compiled because they told, I know you guys believe this came to Muhammad and it's perfect and everything is exactly like it was from the days of Muhammad. It's not the case. It went through so many recensions and changes and revisions and that's why there's so many different Qur'ans in the world today. And but you know, but what he's saying here, let's listen.
Ijma', consensus of all of the Sahaba that this is the Quran as
that consent. Okay, what he says right there is all the Sahabas agreed that this is the Quran. That's what Uthman says. That the consensus is that this Quran that Uthman compiled and put together, that Zayd ibn Thabit, a convert from Judaism, put together, that this is the real Quran. And he says there was consensus, absolute agreement by all the Sahaba, all the companions. Well, I want to show you something. And I thank Sam Shimon for this. Okay, this is look what it says. Look what it says here. It says, Ibn Shihab said that he was told by Abdullah ibn Abdullah that Abdullah ibn Mas'ud disliked Zayd ibn Thabit copying out the Quran and said, company of Muslims, withdraw from making copies and entrusting it to one man. By Allah, I have been a Muslim while he, Zayd, was in the loins of his unbelieving father, meaning Zayd ibn Thabit. That is why Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, people of Iraq, conceal the copies of the Quran you have and conceal them. Allah says, those who misappropriate will arrive on the day of the rising with what they have misappropriated. This is from Tafsir al-Qurtubi, you guys. Classical commentary on the Holy Quran, translated by Aisha Bewley. You guys, look. He's saying, Ijma', all of the Sahaba, no way. The number one caught it. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said no. He said no. He said, don't go for this. Don't fall for this. Don't accept Zayd ibn Thabit's Quran. You know, so what Uthman said there is a lie. There was no ijma'. There was no consensus. The biggest caught it. Muhammad said, well, if you're going to take your Quran from someone, take it from Abdullah bin Mas'ud or Ubay bin Ka'b. Here, Abdullah bin Mas'ud. is telling, look what he said, people of Iraq, conceal the copies of the Quran you have and conceal them. Don't go giving them away. Like Uthman was saying, give me your Quran so I can burn them. He's saying, don't give it to him. Don't give it to him. And you guys, you know, I worked with Father Zechariah for many years. There were at least 31 different Qur'ans at this time. Ibn Mas'ud had one of them. Ibn Mas'ud had one of them. There's like 31 different Qur'ans. He said, hide them. Don't give them to Uthman. Don't let them burn it. So what he just said right there about there was ijma', you know, the Arabic word ijma', you know, and the you know, whenever these guys use Arabic, you gotta be suspicious, man. So anyway, let me go.
Was revealed from Al-Fatiha to Nas, Zayd ibn Thabit, radiallahu anhu, in the time of Abu Bakr and again in the time of Uthman. This is the ignorance that he doesn't know.
It's ignorance. He's accusing him of ignorance for not knowing that. Does he really think David doesn't know that, man?
Did not. Zayd ibn Thabit, what's wrong with you?
He didn't find.
What is wrong with you?
See, what's wrong with you? You know, when he loses an argument, he gets more squealy, you know, and he's being demolished, man.
Zayd ibn Thabit didn't when he did the Uthmani recension. He didn't find a couple verses that were missing.
No, he didn't find extra verses. Let's read this, okay? Zayd ibn Thabit added, a verse from Surah Al-Ahzab was missed by me when we copied the Quran, and I used to hear Allah's Messenger reciting it. So we searched for it and we found it with Khuzaymah ibn Thabit al-Ansari. The verse was, among the believers are men who have been true in their covenant with Allah. So here, that when we copy the Quran, he says he missed a verse and he found it later on with Khuzaymah. One person, there was only one person who had this verse of the Quran, and it was lost except for this one person, and they ended up putting it into the Quran. Very interesting.
No. Okay.
Where did you get that
interesting.
from? Yourself?
You didn't find the two verses from.
Listen. Zayd ibn Thabit radiallahu anhu, when he compiled the Quran in the time of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and re-standardized the prints to send out, they were the same. This is why
they were the same from the time of Abu Bakr to the time of Uthman, even though Zayd ibn Thabit says that he forgot that one verse.
The Sahaba came to an ijma'. You know what the word ijma' means? Consensus.
Ijma'. There, we're going back to the ijma' again, going back to the consensus. There was a consensus, even though Abdullah bin Mas'ud said, don't give him your Quran. There was no consensus. There was no consensus.
I mean, no Sahabi disagreed when this was sent.
No Sahabi disagreed. He's lying, you guys. No Sahabi disagreed. He's lying.
Out. Ibn Mas'ud radiyan knew Qul a'udhu bi falaq wa nas. He led them in salah with them.
He even just used Ibn Mas'ud because he knows that's where the problem is Ibn Mas'ud. And so Ibn Mas'ud said it's from Falq to Nas, you know, even, you know, because he knows there's a problem.
There are ahadith where Ibn Mas'ud recites them in salah. But what he was explaining was he took them to be adhkar originally, until he was reminded. And that's why when Zayd ibn Thabit compiled the Quran, he didn't just do it from his own. He collected all of the Huffaz and all of the Sahaba until they came to a consensus. And that's why today, I ask you, David Wood, find me one Muslim that does not believe that the Surah Al-Fatiha to Surah Al-Nas is Quran.
You're talking about after all the variants and so on are burned.
Let's read this, okay? It says, and ordered that all the, okay, said to the three Qurayshi men, in case you disagree with Zayd ibn Thabit on any point in the Quran, then write it in the dialect of Quraysh. You guys, this was from Uthman. Okay, this is from the Caliph, the number 3rd Caliph, who was also murdered. And he says that when you guys start putting this Quran together, that this new Quran, this is the new Quran, the Uthman Quran, which is different from the Abu Bakr Quran. He says, when you guys start putting it together, he says, if you disagree about anything, just write it in the Qurayshi dialect. You guys, it's not like he had a text, a codex from Abu Bakr, and that was with Hafsa, and then they just copied it. No, they're not. Look what Zayd ibn Thabit is telling them in the hadith. He's saying, if you disagree with Zayd ibn Thabit on any point in the Quran, then write it in the dialect of the Quraysh as the Quran was revealed in their tongue. They did so. And when they had written many copies, Uthman returned the original manuscripts to Hafsa. Uthman sent to every Muslim province one copy of what they had copied, and ordered that all the other Quranic materials, whether written in fragmentary manuscripts or whole copies, so they had whole copies, be burnt. You guys, what's this? What is this, man? I didn't know this. I was told there was one Quran perfectly preserved and everything. Look at this stuff, man.
Again,
Uthman had to burn them all.
Uthman did not burn variants. This is again your ignorance.
He didn't burn variants. Didn't he just say it, and he burned it? I mean, this was the original Quran burning. Uthman burned the Quran. It's a very well-known story.
So let me explain. No.
The reason for compiling them and burning them was because there were differences in the recitation of the Quran.
There are all the recitations go to the Mus'haf of Uthman.
All the recitations go to the Mus'haf of Uthman. Okay, I got a question here, you guys. You know what, you guys? This is going a little bit long. And so, I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish it today. And my COVID is, but he says all the recitations go back to the Mus'haf of Uthman. How could that be? How could that be when all the problems that happened before he burned all the different recitations, his Quran didn't exist yet. Uthman's Quran didn't exist yet. How could all of these recitations go back to Uthman's Quran when Uthman's Quran didn't exist yet? How could that be? He's saying that all these recitations go back to Uthman's Quran. How could they go back to Uthman's Quran when it didn't exist yet? These recitations existed before Uthman's Quran, and there were 31 of them at least that we know of, including Ibn Mas'ud. That Ibn Mas'ud said, don't give them to Uthman. Don't give them to Zayd ibn Thabit. He said, don't give it to them. Keep them. That's what Ibn Mas'ud said. And he was the #1 qari. And so, doesn't make sense what this guy's saying.
How could those differences have been gone? Now, let me finish with you now. When Uthman radiallahu anhu collected the Quran, people had small scripts. And what he wanted to do was to make sure that people don't start to take those scripts and misunderstand and join them in wrong places as not in a book format.
People had small scripts. Well, if you read Al-Qurtubi, that's not what he says. He said some people had whole Qur'ans.
Compiled it.
Said differences in the recitation of the Quran.
No. Again, the difference of the Qur'an continued on the Mus'haf Uthman. Even today, every Qur'an has, the 3 conditions of the Qur'an?
One second, just let me read this so I can put it down. So this commentary on the verse, Surah 33, verse 6, the Prophet is closer to the believers than their own selves, and his wives are their mothers. He says, in spiritual relationships, the Prophet is entailed to more respect and consideration than blood relations. In some qiras, like that of Ubay ibn Ka'b, occur also the words, and he is a father of them, which imply his spiritual relationship and connection with the words, and his wives are their mothers. So in his qira,
okay, you guys. I think my senioritis is catching up with me here. But you know what? It's like this guy is, it's that slithery snake avoiding logic. David is tearing this up, man. He's ripping this up, man, and just exposing the faulty logic. And when he gets pushed into a corner, that he starts Miskeen, Miskeen, Miskeen. And then when he gets pushed into another corner, oh, the Torah and the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I have a book about it. And and then other times you're ignorant, and calm down. But he doesn't deal with the subject. He doesn't deal with the issues. And so anyway, but the thing that really got to me more than anything is the when he start calling him Miskeen. Let me just show you again a little bit about the word Miskeen that he used. Okay, here's it. It means, oh, poor fellow. Then, but you know what? Jesus turns everything upside down. Jesus turns the world upside down. When you live by Jesus's rules, everything that is negative becomes positive. Okay? Because Jesus came and said, Tawbah lil Masakeen bil-ruh. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are the poor in spirit. And then there was this verse of the Quran, you guys. And again, this is the verses because Miskeen, it's in chapter 2, 1 verse 84, and it uses the word Miskeen, and it means feeding a poor person. But in the Warsh version, it means feeding poor people because they didn't have the dots. And so there's confusion about what it means. Do you feed one person or several people? And a lot of people get mad at me like, would you just shut up? So what if there's differences in the Quran? Would you just shut up? Stop talking. Why are you making such a big deal about it? Just shut up, man. That's what a lot of people tell me. Just shut up. You don't got to keep making a big deal out of it. And you know what? The only reason I make a big deal out of this, is because I was taught that there was one Quran. I was so convinced of this. They taught us so strong that there's only one Quran. I was willing to die for it. I was so convinced that it was perfect truth. And I know Muslims are willing to die for the belief that there's one Quran. And the problem is that they're telling that. It hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. They're still telling people that there's only one Quran. And it's perfect and perfectly preserved, impossible to change. The Bible's been changed. The Christians changed the Bible. The Jews changed the Torah. But nobody can change the Quran. Nobody can change the Quran. And so, that's what they've been telling us for so long. And, if they stop telling us this, here is. It's a miracle of the Quran that no change has occurred in a single word, a single letter of the alphabet, a single punctuation mark, or a single diacritical mark in the text of the Quran during the last 14 centuries. They're still telling people this. It's the miracle of the Quran that no change has occurred in a single word, a single letter, a single alphabet of the alphabet, a single punctuation mark, or a single diacritical mark in the text of the Quran in the last 14 centuries. And they're still teaching people this. They're teaching kids this. And I believed it. And I know every Muslim I talk to on the street, they still believe it. They still believe it. That's why I want to keep talking about this, saying, you guys, they're lying to us. They're lying to us because now they can't hide it anymore. Now all of these different Qur'ans are on the internet, and all the kids have to do, all the teenagers have to do is go on the internet and look at all these different Qur'ans, different qira'at, different masahif, different, they just, another trick is that they change the word. They don't call it a Qur'an anymore. They say, no, this is not a Qur'an. This is a mushaf, and this is not a Qur'an. This is a harf, a letter, or this is a qira'ah, or this is so many different things. I don't have a problem. I don't care if there's 500 Qur'ans, and I think a lot of Muslims have reached a point of frustration now that they're saying, I don't care if there's 500 Qur'ans. But the problem is the Qur'an tells you that there's only one. The Quran tells you there's only one. It says, Quran Majid min Lawh Mahfuz, glorious Quran from the preserved tablet, chapter 84, verse 1. That's what the Quran says. Quran Majid min Lawh Mahfuz. And so the Quran says that there's only one Quran. And it's from the Lawh al-Mahfuz, from the preserved tablet, from eternity. It's eternal. Kalimat Allah. And so, you know, and people are going to go to hell believing that. People are going to go to hell believing that. And I know they're so sincere. I know that I know Muslims are so beautiful, man. I know they are. I know they're so beautiful. You know, they're so faithful to what they believe. I know it. I know it. They're so beautiful people. I love them, but I don't want them to go to hell. And you guys have been lied to. I was lied to. That this is the miracle of the Quran. That's what we were told, but it's not true. We have the proof now. We don't, you know, it's been exposed. The lie has been exposed. So, you know, I love you. I want you to come to know Jesus. I want you to know the truth. The truth is a person. His name is Jesus Christ. He did come to me when I was a Muslim like you. He came to me. He came to me and poured out his spirit on me. And he gave me life. And here I am. I've been with him for 43 years. He gives me joy. He gives me peace. He's my best friend. The Holy Spirit lives inside of me. Holy Spirit came inside of me, and Jesus was right there when he came to me the first time. And he came to live inside of me. And he's been with me ever since. He wants to be with you. You guys need him to give you that living water. That living water. He wants to give you that living. Some of you are so thirsty inside. Jesus will fill that emptiness inside of you. Ask him, say, Jesus, fill this emptiness inside of me. Jesus, please fill this emptiness. I'm so miserable. I'm so religious. I'm a good person. I pray, I fast, I Ramadan, I hajj, I do everything. But I'm so empty and miserable. And I feel like I've been lied to. Please, Jesus, fill my emptiness. He loves you so much. And I love you. And I know some of you are mad at me. I know a lot of you guys are mad at me. But I love you so much. That's why I talk about this, you know. And you know, like I was saying, like, well, I don't care if there's 500 different Qurans. Who cares? You know, but no. The thing is, they keep telling you that there's only one. And that's why it's a lie. And why you just need to say, you know what? If they lied to me about this, what else did they lie to me about? You know, open your heart to Jesus. Say, Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. When I was an atheist. God bless you, Ryan. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. يسوع ساعدني. يسوع سامحني. يسوع ادخل قلبي. يسوع ساعدني. يسوع سامحني. يسوع ادخل قلبي. Thank you guys for being with me. I'm really surprised. Had a really good crowd today. I think that for me, this is like the biggest crowd I've ever had by myself. 65. That's the biggest crowd I've ever had by myself. So thank you guys for being with me. I appreciate it. And let me go ahead, and I want to actually end this playing a song. And this song, this song is Arabic. It's called Ya Miskeen. And that was the reason why I did this, is because of that word Ya Miskeen. So let me go ahead and play that song on. So
يجبرك رغم اللي عندهم كبرك حبي ترى اخرك مو برضاك وغصب عليك مو برضاك وغصب عليك لو فكرت تبعد بعيد او فكرت تحيا سعيد ترجع لي انا من جديد ترجع لي انا من جديد مو برضاك غصب عليك مو برضاك وغصب عليك لا تظهر عدم الاهتمام وانت تذوق نار الغرام ما تقدر عيونك تنام ما تقدر عيونك تنام وبرضاك غصب عليك وبرضاك غصب عليك يا مسكين باين عليك باين عينك ورعشة يديك كل شوق وتحبني.
That song says Ya Miskeen. It's called Ya Miskeen because, anyway. All right, I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for being with me. The Lord bless you, and praise be to God. I think I'm over the hump with the corona, man. On the recovery side, praise be to God. The 7th day was supposed to be the hardest. It was easy. So praise be to God. Thank you so much for being with me. Love you guys. Have a great night. And if you haven't, subscribe to my channel. So love you. Have a great night. Tisbah